am I the asshole for telling my coworkers I'd abandon a baby?
That they would abandon a baby.
Yes.
I guess we're dealing strictly in hypotheticals, so I'll say no. There's got to be a good reason to where you say this in front of a bunch of coworkers, a place where you want people to like and respect you. Not share some of your deepest, darkest secrets. I would hope.
Could you imagine just like you're out for lunch with your coworkers, you see a baby in a stroller. I'm going to grab that baby and abandon it.
Yeah, well, it's already just leave it or find. No, leaving it is abandoning it. Yeah, find the mother is what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm glad you picked up on. Hopefully, it's a hypothetical.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's it sounds like a hypothetical.
Yeah,
and surely you wouldn't say something stupid in front of coworkers. But now that I say that out loud, we've had multiple stories where people say stupid shit in front of their coworkers. So I don't know. I could be super wrong here, but I'll stick with it. Not the asshole.
Let's hop into it and see if you are correct, Sean. All right. I know. Slightly clickbait title. So already addressing.
I like where it's going.
Yeah, there we go.
It's feeling good for me.
I, 26 female, was having a conversation with some coworkers when the subject of Mother's Day came up. That's when I get asked, when are you having kids? I smile politely and reply, never. I don't want kids. This is where things start to escalate.
Ugh, stay out of people's business. You're a coworker. Not an appropriate question to ask anybody.
Yeah, that's already a question where I always hate that question. I have a friend who they didn't want to have kids at this time, but their parents kept asking them, and they're just like,
yeah.
Fuck off. And it's like, yeah, why pressure people into this question or like even ask them? Because some people can't, you know what I mean? And you could just be dredging up shit. So just mind your own business.
I say this as somebody who, as a probably 19-year-old, I didn't know that was a thing. So
right.
I asked like my sister's friend, I was like, oh man, when are y'all working on the second? And then he was like, we've been. It's just not happening. And I was like, oh my God, that's probably just not a question I should ever ask somebody because that's a very personal reason you just gave me. And I'm sure it wasn't comfortable. And I just learned my lesson the hard way. So yeah, guys, just never a good mind your own fucking business is.
Don't be a Sean because you don't want to be in that position.
I was just standing there like, I think I'm a douche. I think I'm a fucking ass.
I mean, at least you took that and was like, all right, I'm not going to ask
life lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life lesson for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So this is where things start to escalate. I work with all women and they seemed shocked, even horrified by my statement. The fact is, I do not want to have children, period. End of discussion. The conversation, as close to word for word as I can remember, went as follows. And keep in mind, there are about 5 individuals, all over the age of 40. But what if your husband wants to have kids? And OP responds, then I'd get a new husband.
Yeah.
They then ask, you're almost 30. You should start to think about these things. OP responds, but I never want children, even at 30. They then ask, what if you get pregnant accidentally? OP responds, well, then I'd get an abortion. They then ask, well, a lot of states aren't allowing that anymore.
It's insane that this conversation is still going.
It didn't end 3 questions ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a secondary question before you maybe take the fucking hint that, okay, I think she knows what she wants.
Yeah.
I think there's no point in asking hypotheticals. And it sounds like they're about to get a hypothetical answer that they don't like.
Yeah. Or, it's none of my business if she has kids or not. It literally affects me 0%.
0%.
So they ask, well, a lot of states aren't allowing that anymore. What will you do then? And OP says, I guess give it to someone who wants it. They then say, you'll change your mind once you held it. And OP says, no, I would not want to hold it. I would ask them to take it to an adoption center. But then they say, I don't think they'd let you give it away for adoption. You're fit to be a mother. you wouldn't just abandon your baby. To which OP responds, yes, I would. If I had no choice, I'd dump it on the church step if I had to.
I mean, y'all have begged for this answer at this point.
This is where this conversation is leading.
There was no other way this ended. You asked for this.
I kept egging her on just to hopefully get her to say yes. Like, fucked up.
Yeah, I'll fucking bring her here with put her right next to some donuts and let somebody take her.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of the day, which thankfully was only a few hours, was so awkward, with them muttering and talking about how they couldn't understand how someone like me, and then in brackets, I don't know what they mean by that, maybe because I'm white, working class, healthy woman, couldn't possibly want to have children. When talking with my mom later, she said I should have just tried to change the subject and that I was an asshole for taking it that far, but I was just being honest about what I do.
You're just answering questions you're being asked.
Yeah. I didn't initiate this conversation. You know what I mean? I was just being honest about what I do. I do not want children. Even if that means having to go through the trauma of pregnancy, I'd still give it away at any cost. I would like to clarify, I do not hate kids nor wish to harm them. I just do not want to have one of my own, and instead of accepting that, they kept trying to create scenarios that make me admit that I'd keep it. So am I the asshole?
Abso-fucking-lutely not. It's nice to get one right.
Yeah, you killed that one.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, like they're asking hypothetical questions. You keep asking those questions, especially at the where this conversation is heading. Yeah, the trajectory of this conversation. You could just imagine you're going to eventually get a hypothetical answer that you don't love. So truly not on OP at all. They kept badgering. This is just what you get when that happens.
Yeah. And I truly don't understand where it comes from when some people just don't understand. Some people don't want kids.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like it has to be from older people that just like don't realize how much more expensive shit is now than when it was when they were.
It could be that.
30.
Yeah.
Just because I see I see the old, I forget what his name is, that old financial analyst guy.
Oh, that fucking
just
guy. I hate that guy.
Sometimes it's good advice. Sometimes it's just like, okay, brother, like
buy rental property. It's like, I don't have the money for a rental property.
Everything was so much cheaper back then.
Yeah.
I don't think you're taking into account that it's just not possible with how much we get paid now versus how expensive things are. I don't think for an economy expert, it seems like you don't have basic understanding of the economy.
Yeah.
I'm neither here nor there, but it's just, I think older people truly just don't get a grip on how bad it is out here.
Yeah.
Not only financial, but also just like social wise, like just our generation knowing kind of more about the world, not through like news, but through other people living in the world and listing their experiences and showcasing how they're living and what their world situation is. And it's just like, take financials out of it. It's scary to have a baby in a world that is not very safe.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm sure they had, knowledge of that stuff, but it's just, I feel like we know now on a much more macro level. Yeah. It's
like
just
everywhere you go.
Yeah. We just know almost too much.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Almost too much.
Yeah. I agree. I think it partially comes from, not maybe understanding, the social economic scenario that many of us millennials and Gen Z are in. But also I think it comes from maybe a place of insecurity, or like maybe they didn't know they wanted to have kids. And then later on they were like, oh, I want to have kids. I was that way for a long time. I didn't want to have kids. And like, now I'm like, oh yeah, I could see myself having a couple kids. Which
it could also be the opposite too.
Yeah, 100%.
To where they had kids at a young age and
regret it.
Maybe not that they regret having kids, but maybe
that's a little mean, I guess. That's not what I meant.
I'm sure they love their children.
Yes.
But they do see that, there are other ways to happiness, and maybe that, they see you doing some things that they couldn't do because they were pregnant at a young age.
Yeah.
So maybe that is also pushing, which is, get therapy. But again, yeah, just don't pry. Never pry.
Well, even my mom, like, who, I mean, loves us obviously, but she was like, yeah, I kind of wish I'd waited a little bit longer to have kids, just to, travel a bit more and stuff like that when she's younger. Cause I mean, they had me at a fine age. It was like mid-20s, but she's like, I wish I had traveled a little bit more, before I, had kids and settled down. But, I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way. Not that they don't love their kids. Was not what I meant to say.
I wanted to help clarify for you before we got another before the peanut butter situation.
But Reddit deemed not the asshole, obviously.
Good.
Logical lower score Bobcat 9703 said, even if you did hate kids, you're entitled to your feelings.
Yeah.
Your coworkers were intrusive and out of line. None of these hypothetical situation questions were necessary. You said you didn't want kids, and that should have been the end of the conversation. And you didn't say you would abandon your baby until they put you in a ridiculous situation where both abortion and adoption weren't an option. They don't deny you the right to put your baby up for adoption because you're fit to be a parent. They pushed and you answered. It's not your fault that they didn't like the answers. And I agree. Also, this is why, abortion and adoption should be legal everywhere.
Yeah, should be a woman's choice.
And also easy access to preventative measures.
Get therapy. Get therapy.